Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be on episode 210, Fight for the Light. The episode begins with Ash and the gang finally emerging from the desert, running up a hill, and finally coming across Olivine City in the distance. They really thought that they were dreaming, as it's been so long since they had left Ekatreek City. Ash and the gang examined the sights of the city, along with the lake that was close by to it, and Ash instantly declares that they were going to go to the gym first thing, with Misty and Brock not disagreeing, as they were desperate to see Ash have a gym battle again as well, since it had been so long. Meanwhile, Team Rocket was in Olivine City, spying on Ash and the gang while in some trash cans as a disguise, when Jessie's stomach started growling very loudly, reminding her that Team Rocket hadn't eaten for days at this point and needed something to eat. When they remembered that they were broke as fuck and couldn't afford anything to eat, they debated getting another job, but didn't know where to work. They were determined to find a place, though, so they looked around while still in their trash cans, and suddenly, the sun shined on the glass of a window of a nearby building, and Team Rocket saw people inside, so they came to the conclusion that at a place this big, it must have been a place like a department store or an office building, and realized that those places usually hired people pretty easily, so they decided to go and see if they could get hired. Or better yet, steal some of the employees' snacks so that they didn't even have to work for money to buy their own. However, when Team Rocket go up to this building, it likely wasn't an office building or grocery store like they had anticipated, as it was guarded by two guards at the front who insisted that if you wanted to enter the building, then you had to show off previous gym badges that you had earned. James didn't understand what the guards meant by badges, so he instead shows them his bottle cap collection filled with pictures of his bottle caps that he had essentially turned into little tokens, thinking that these had the same value. But the guards clarified that they needed gym badges, so they couldn't let Team Rocket in, leading Team Rocket to question why they needed gym battles to enter a grocery store or office building, leading the two guards to become a bit confused as they clarified that this building was the battle tower, much to Team Rocket's dismay, as they realized that they didn't have a place to work after all. Damn. Meanwhile, Ash and the gang had finally arrived at Olivine Gym, with Ash remarking how he hoped his battle would be relatively easy so that he could get on to the next gym. Just then, though, a girl comes out as Ash enters the stadium, and the lights turn on, revealing her as she claims herself to be the gym leader, Jasmine, explaining that Ash's battle would not be an easy one. Ash introduces himself and states that it didn't matter. He still wanted to battle her anyways. He wasn't going to cower away, since he wanted the gym badge. Brock and Misty stop Ash, telling him that this girl looked a little young to actually be a gym leader, but Ash shrugs off Misty and Brock's concerns, as Jasmine restates that she was Jasmine, which Brock and Misty remark how weird that was, that she was restating her name multiple times, totally not suspicious at all. And Jasmine then declares that the gym battle would be 3-on-3, like pretty much every gym battle up to this point, and sends out her first Pokemon, Onix, which Brock recognizes as a shiny Onix that seemed to be coated with some sort of metal, leading Jasmine to reveal that the Olivine Gym was a Steel-type gym, apparently being her justification for the metallic coating on Onix. Ash knew that despite the gym being a Steel-type gym, Onix was still a Rock-type, so knowing that water Pokemon were obviously good against Rock-types, he sent out his Totodile, thinking he'd be able to make quick work of the Onix, so he simply commanded Totodile to use Water Gun, thinking that Jasmine would be quaking in her boots, but she instead just goes for a tackle with Onix. The Water Gun does push Onix back a bit, but Onix was able to persevere and get off the tackle on Totodile, which defeats Totodile in one hit. This obviously shocks Ash, as he expected Totodile to be able to be the one to knock out Onix in one hit, but he simply moves on from this loss as he recalls Totodile and sends out his Pikachu, having him use Quick Attack, powered up to go even faster by using Agility. However, before the Quick Attack could make contact, the battle was then stopped, as a voice called out for it to stop, and Jasmine instantly obliged, recalling her Onix, so Pikachu couldn't fight it. The voice then reveals herself to be a woman with a Magnemite, and Ash yells at her, stating that he was in the middle of an important gym match, and she had just interrupted it. The woman rebuttals that Ash was not in the middle of a real gym battle, as he wasn't fighting the gym leader. Ash was instantly confused by this, as he pointed to who he still believed to be Jasmine, claiming that she was the gym leader, but the woman revealed that she was actually Jasmine, and the woman that Ash was battling was her apprentice, Janina. Ash questioned why he was not having a real gym battle if Jasmine had likely appointed her apprentice to battle, leading Jasmine to reveal that although she did allow her apprentice to battle in her stead, and it would normally have been considered a real gym battle, she declared that she had spotted that Janina was cheating, and demanded that Janina come to her office and explain herself immediately. Essentially, Jasmine had stopped the battle because she was mad at her apprentice, not Ash. As Jasmine took her apprentice into her office, Brock called for her to come back, finding Jasmine absolutely beautiful, but Jasmine of course ignored him. Janina knew that she had been caught red-handed by Jasmine, as she walked sulkingly with Jasmine to her office, but before she left, she apologized to Ash, stating that she had used a trick on him, which was why Ash's Totodile didn't do a whole bunch of damage to it, even though it should have, being a water type. As Ash questions what this trick could be, Misty taunted Ash that if Janina was able to whoop his ass, then Jasmine must be undefeatable. She asks Brock for his opinion, only for Brock to be unable to answer since he was so enamored by Jasmine's beauty. Anyways, when Janina went into Jasmine's office, she immediately confessed what her trick was, knowing that Jasmine already knew, explaining that she had covered her Onix in water-repellent wax, also explaining why the Onix was truly shiny and looked like it was coated in something. It wasn't just because the Olivine Gym was a Steel-type gym, like Janine had claimed. Jasmine was obviously not pleased by her apprentice having cheated, and demands that not only should Janina scrub the wax off of Onix, but she should go away from the gym for a while, essentially expelling her and instructing her to take some time away to learn what it meant to truly be a gym leader, one that doesn't cheat and understood their Pokemon to the fullest extent, saying that there was no way that Onix himself would have liked to be covered in wax anyways. Janina obliges to Jasmine's demands and leaves the gym, although she definitely wasn't happy. Jasmine then returns to the gym and apologizes to Ash and the gang for Janina's actions, leading Ash to state that it was okay as long as Jasmine would give him a real gym battle in return, leading Jasmine to state that although she would love to battle Ash, she couldn't right now since she was too exhausted from worrying about her Pokemon, who she nicknamed Sparkle. Before Ash and the gang could question what was wrong with this Sparkle of hers, Jasmine then gets a call, and immediately after she hangs up, she tells Ash and the gang that the caller had informed her of an urgent matter that she had to attend to, and she runs off. This leaves Ash and the gang with nothing to do in the gym, or all of Olivine City for that matter, so Ash and the gang depressingly leave the gym and go to a local park where they debate how they should kill some time. Until Jasmine's battle with Ash, only for Ash to realize that he never actually clarified with her when the battle would be, as she had ran off too fast, and remembered that she was concerned about this weird-ass Pokemon named Sparkle, and didn't know how long this concern would last, or who Sparkle was for that matter, so Ash got even more depressed as he realized that he may not ever get to have his battle with Jasmine. Just then, Ash and the gang spotted Janina in the sandbox in the park, doing as Jasmine had asked by scrubbing off her Onix, until eventually all the wax comes off. Ash and the gang questioned what she was doing and why there was wax on the ground, leading Janina to admit to Ash the trick that she had pulled, which finally made Ash realize why Totodile had lost. Janina then rants about how although she was sorry for pulling the trick on Ash, Jasmine had kicked her out of the gym, and she didn't think that punishment was warranted. Brock, however, did think the punishment was warranted, as he was very disappointed in Janina for how she treated the Onix, stating that she should have focused on encouraging the Onix for the skills it currently had and improving them, instead of trying to erase Onix's weaknesses. This led Janina to plead to Brock to advise her how she should improve her Onix's strengths, stating that she hoped to impress Jasmine by doing this, so she could earn Jasmine's respect back and prove that she knew her Onix. This leads Brock to advise her to listen to the Onix, specifically, listen to its heart. He didn't mean that literally, but he meant it in the sense that Janina should listen to what her Onix wanted, and stated that if Onix was happy enough, then it would be able to improve its skills. Janina shows recognition when she hears this advice, stating that Jasmine had told her something very similar, stating that Brock was just as knowledgeable as an actual gym leader, leading Brock to reveal that he was a gym leader, or at least he was before he went with Ash and the gang. Upon hearing Janina mention Jasmine, Ash was reminded of her, and decided to ask Janina if she knew where Jasmine would have ran off to, so that he could ask her if they were going to eventually have their battle, leading Janina to reveal that Jasmine had been up to something at the local Shining Lighthouse for quite a long time, which was why she always seemed to be busy, and why she requested Janina to take her stead for a bit in the first place. Ash decides to go to the lighthouse in order to find Jasmine, only to find 2 lighthouses. Ash and the gang questioned which one they were supposed to go into, with Brock remembering that Janine had mentioned that the lighthouse was known as the Shining Lighthouse, which he managed to find by looking in his guidebook, explaining that the Shining Lighthouse was the oldest of the 2, so therefore it would have more wear and tear on it. So, Ash and the gang decided to go in the older-looking lighthouse, wondering what its history was that made it called the Shining Lighthouse. Meanwhile, Team Rocket were spying on Ash and the gang as they entered the lighthouse, and determined that they were going to break into the lighthouse without disguises and just plan a full-on attack right away, skipping all of the usual bullshit that they did. Back with Ash and the gang, they looked around the lighthouse, both the exterior and interior, and immediately decided to go to the top floor once they hadn't found Jasmine anywhere. Unfortunately, on the top floor, they still didn't find Jasmine, and instead, just an Ampharos that was lying on the ground, leading Ash to use his Pokedex on it, to confirm that it was Ampharos, as he didn't know who it was originally, because, he'd never seen one before. Just then, though, Jasmine and her grandfather Myron then make an appearance. Ash immediately disregards the Ampharos, and questions Jasmine eagerly when they could have their battle, leading Jasmine to remind Ash that she would only battle him once she stopped being concerned about her Sparkle, now clarifying that her Sparkle was this Ampharos, and specified that the reason why it was laying on the ground was because it was ill, which was also another reason why Jasmine couldn't battle, since Ampharos was her ace Pokemon, so if it was ill and couldn't battle, then she didn't want to battle either, and wanted to wait to battle until her Ampharos had recovered. Ash and the gang then questioned Jasmine on what made her Ampharos so special, to the point where she had decided to make it her ace, with Jasmine revealing that she had made it her ace because of how awesome its electric tail was, stating that its tail was very important to Olivine City, since Ampharos was the light source for this whole lighthouse, due to the glow its tail created. Ash and the gang then questioned how Ampharos was supposed to be the main source of light for the lighthouse at all times, when it was also now with Jasmine, leading Jasmine's grandfather Myron to clarify that the reason why Jasmine was able to take Ampharos away from the lighthouse for a decent amount of time, since she used it at her gym, was because this lighthouse, the Shining Lighthouse, was no longer the main lighthouse, with that position being taken by the newer-looking lighthouse, which was entirely electric-powered. This leads Ash and the gang to question why the Ampharos was even needed to light this lighthouse in the first place if the electric lighthouse could just do all the work, leading Myron to reveal that the townspeople still wanted to have the original lighthouse be lit by Ampharos, as it was a nice tradition that the city used to be known for, and they didn't want to lose that. But now they had, since Ampharos could no longer light the lighthouse due to being sick. Upon being reminded that Ampharos was sick, Ash once again questions Jasmine when she thought that Ampharos would get better so he could have the gym battle, leading Myron to reveal that Ampharos should get better as soon as it receives the medicine that he had ordered, explaining that it was super powerful. However, he unfortunately clarified that neither he nor Jasmine had any time to go away from Olivine to where the medicine was located to pick it up, being Cyanwood City. With Jasmine stating that she was originally going to send her apprentice Gianna to go get it, but then the whole incident with Gianna cheating happened, and she figured that sending her off to do some reflecting was the better choice. Ash and the gang then state that they would go get the medicine for them, with Ash reasoning that he would do this because he wanted to get to his gym battle as soon as possible, and Brock reasoning that he would help because he wanted to impress Jasmine, calling her beautiful, leading Misty to rebut that she was more beautiful, which Ash and Brock obviously didn't agree with. Meanwhile, Team Rocket had made their way up to the lighthouse and were spying on Ash and the gang through the lighthouse window, having decided to ditch their usual plan of stealing Pikachu and instead decided to go for the Ampharos, admiring how it apparently had a very beautiful tail that was able to light a whole lighthouse, stating that Giovanni would love something like that. Unfortunately for Team Rocket, though, they were actually caught spying for once by Jasmine. Of course not Ash and the gang, because they never knew they were being spied on. But as soon as Jasmine called out, Ash and the gang did realize that Team Rocket were there, leading Team Rocket to begin to make their escape by going into their Meowth balloon, leading Ash to try and send in one of his Pokemon to attack Team Rocket before they could escape. But he soon realizes that Team Rocket weren't actually escaping, despite going in their Meowth balloon. They had simply returned there, so Meowth could press a remote control that was in the balloon, which launched a missile, which Meowth called the Mystery Missile, and this missile immediately shot through the window, shattering it, and seemingly heading towards Ash and the gang, only for the missile to then suddenly change course and go up, destroying the roof of the lighthouse, leading Meowth to reveal that that's why it was called the Mystery Missile, since it went in random-ass directions. Sure enough, the missile then goes in another random-ass direction, suddenly plummeting down into the lighthouse, where Ash and the gang were standing, leading Ash and the gang to get extremely frightened, along with Myron and Jasmine, as they prepared for whatever direction this missile could go next. Thankfully or unthankfully for Ash and the gang, I'm not really sure, the missile doesn't go another direction, instead staying right where it was, and it releases Weezing, who was inside of it. Ash, who had since approached the missile, trying to destroy it before it went another direction, was obviously shocked by Weezing's appearance, and was therefore blasted fully in the face when Weezing uses his smokescreen. It wasn't just Ash affected by the smokescreen, though, as the entire room, of course, filled with smoke. This leads Ash and the gang, Jasmine, and Myron to run out of the lighthouse to escape the smoke, with Brock carrying Ampharos, since it couldn't walk by itself, and he wanted to try and impress Jasmine by doing this. Unfortunately for Brock, though, since he was carrying Ampharos, this made him a little slower, so everyone else got to the bottom of the lighthouse before he did. Even more unfortunately for Brock, just as he had reached the bottom floor of the lighthouse and was about to exit, Team Rocket saw that Brock was alone with the Ampharos and took their chance to sneak up on him, dropping a cage on him and the Ampharos from up in their Meowth balloon, and Team Rocket then pull up Brock and Ampharos in the cage and begin to fly away in their Meowth balloon as Brock tries to kick himself free from the cage to no avail, as the cage was too strong. Everything seemed hopeless for Brock, as Team Rocket was using a fan to make their balloon fly faster. But fortunately, as Gianna and her Onix were walking along the port, still saddened about being kicked out, thinking about everything Jasmine had told them previously, and how they could use Jasmine's advice to strengthen their bond so that Jasmine would be proud of them, Janina spotted all of the smoke coming out of the nearby lighthouse, of course caused by Weezing's smokescreen, and instantly ran over to the lighthouse to check things out. It's there that she sees Ash and the gang, Jasmine, and Myron, who were currently running after Team Rocket's Meowth balloon to try and get back Brock and Ampharos. When Janina spotted Brock and Ampharos, she declared that she would help Ash and the gang and Jasmine save Brock and Ampharos, since her Onix was tall enough to reach the Meowth balloon, hoping to earn Jasmine's respect back by doing this. Sure enough, Ash and the gang and Jasmine permit her to go stop Team Rocket with her Onix, so she does so as she stops Team Rocket in their tracks as they were flying away, pulling up to them with her Onix, riding on Onix and ordering it to tackle the cage to free Ampharos and Brock. However, before Onix could get off a tackle, or even simply make contact with the cage and grab it, Arbok then hopped off the cage and used Poison Sting, as it was attached to the cage, ordered by Jessie to guard it. After getting off the Poison Sting, Arbok then returned to the cage, latching onto it with its tail so that Onix couldn't knock it off with a counterattack. Onix was too busy to counterattack, though, as it was instead focused on deflecting all of Arbok's Poison Sting pins, shielding Gianna in the process, as Gianna grabbed on to the top of Onix's rocky spike, and all of the Poison Stings were hitting Onix's other rocks. With Onix distracted from deflecting the Poison Stings, Team Rocket take the opportunity to fly away in their Meowth balloon once again, getting the idea to fly away over the ocean, knowing that Onix didn't like water and wouldn't be able to follow them into the water. Sure enough, when Onix tries to chase Team Rocket getting away in their balloon, it stops at the end of the pier, since it couldn't go in water, leaving Onix just out of the balloon's reach as it flew away from the pier. Janina panicked, as she obviously knew that Onix couldn't go in water, but then she got an idea, noticing how long Onix was, and realizing that it could use its length to its advantage by stretching out its tail to grab Arbok and pull itself to the Meowth balloon. She instructs her Onix to do this as she hops off of it, and specifically tells Onix to bite onto a tsunami barrier on the pier to keep itself attached to the pier as it extends its tail and swings it at Arbok, and then wraps its tail around Arbok, who still had its own tail attached to the cage on the Meowth balloon. So this allowed Onix to therefore be attached to the cage in some way, since it was attached to Arbok that was attached to the cage, and Onix then pulled with all of its might. Team Rocket tried to fly away fast to try and get Onix to let go of Arbok, therefore letting go of the Meowth balloon. However, Onyx continued to pull extremely hard, which was faster than the balloon could go. So the balloon ended up being pulled backwards, not able to make any more progress, even when Meowth tried to increase the speed of the balloon by using the fan. Team Rocket were obviously annoyed by this, along with the fact that Onyx was severely injuring Arbok while it was pulling the Meowth balloon, since Arbok was essentially caught in the middle. But Brock, who was watching from the cage, and Jasmine, who was watching from the lighthouse, were amazed by Janine's quick thinking, with Jasmine acknowledging that Janina had finally seemed to understand her Onyx. Just then, a piece of Onyx's rock got chipped off during the struggle between it and the Meowth balloon, but Janina used this to her advantage, as she grabbed the chipped off piece of rock and climbed up to the cage, utilizing Onyx's length, and smashed the lock of the cage with the rock, freeing Brock and Ampharos. After only a few hits, Janina, Brock, and Ampharos then come down Onyx to the ground, and meet up with Ash, Misty, Jasmine, and Myron, as Onyx still pulls the Meowth balloon. Janina then tells Ash to prove himself as a worthy challenger by using his Pikachu to defeat Team Rocket, specifically suggesting an electric attack. Ash hesitates though, as he worries that if Pikachu shocked the Meowth balloon, he would also shock Onyx, who was still attached, but Janina reminds him that since Onyx was a rock type, electric attacks didn't hurt it that much, so Onyx would be fine. So hearing that, Ash has Pikachu use Thunderbolt on Team Rocket, which prevents them from flying any further since their fan was now destroyed, and Onyx then sends Team Rocket blasting off as it releases the Meowth balloon from its tail, although it slaps them with its tail in replacement of that, as Team Rocket scream being launched into the sky. With Team Rocket gone, Jasmine can now focus on reuniting with her Ampharos as she hugs it happily. After this, Jasmine then turns her attention to Janina, being very impressed with her as she thanks Janina for saving her Ampharos and commends her on actually being able to work well with Onyx now, not having to resort to cheating. Being reminded of the cheating, Janina also remembered that she was still expelled from the Olivine Gym, and this made her very sad, as she pleaded with Jasmine to let her back. Jasmine responded by clarifying that she never kicked Janina out of the gym permanently, she just wanted Janina to bond with her Onyx, and she had done that, so now she would more than happily welcome Janina back as her apprentice at the gym, making Janina very happy. This happy moment is then interrupted though, as Myron freaks out, stating that he saw the ferry service that was heading to Scionwood City about to depart. So, Ash and the gang were about to run after the ferry service so they could go to Scionwood City to get the medicine just as they had promised Jasmine. However, Janina was already ahead of them, heading for the ferry, because Jasmine had decided to go back to her original idea and have Janina go get the medicine for her, and Janina happily obliged. Ash complains about this though, as now he would be bored, having nothing to do until Gianna came back with the medicine so that he could have his battle. This leads Myron to suggest that Ash and the gang accompany Janina on the ferry anyways, even though they didn't have to get the medicine, since Scionwood happened to have a gym of its own. So, Ash and the gang could go do that gym first before coming back to Olivine City. Ash and the gang decide to go with Myron's suggestion, as they hurriedly hop on the ferry with Janina heading to Scionwood to retrieve the medicine, and Ash and the gang heading to Scionwood for Ash's next gym battle. Yes, that's right. Even after all this time going to Olivine City, we were actually going to do a different gym battle first. Hey, at least we were still doing a gym battle though. The episode then ends as Ash and the gang and Janina wave goodbye to Jasmine, Ampharos, and Myron while on the departing boat, as the ship's anchor lifts from the seafloor, pulling up Team Rocket with it, revealing that Team Rocket would be heading to Scionwood City as well.